Dark Ages, an MMO from 1999 that for some reason still has servers running. It's been dead for almost 2 decades, but not anymore. I kind of revived it. And in case you missed the video that did that, I suggest you go watch that first because Dark Ages is not even recognizable anymore since that video reached over 3 million views. Allow me to invite you once more into the beautiful world of Dark Ages. A few hours after the release of the video, it was only at a mere 2,000 views. One of the veteran players of the Dark Ages Discord, Nana, said, "Even his Dark Ages video got low views. Dark Ages is doomed." It's kind of true. I spent 30 days in a dead game and uploaded the video on a channel which just had 15,000 subscribers. The chances of this video doing anything was slim. Hopes were low, and at this point, I've made myself known to everyone I met over the 30 days. They watched the video and were amused by seeing themselves on camera, but I don't think anyone was prepared for what happened next. Over the next day or so, the video slowly crept up to a few thousand views, and the Discord server had its first new player, Owlis01. It took 10 years for a truly new player to log into Dark Ages, and now, just a few weeks later, another completely fresh player logged in. The enthusiasm continued to grow, and by the end of the next day, the video had 10,000 views, and more than a couple of new players were seen running around. When I started playing, the entire player base talked about it like it was some magical moment. Imagine how they felt when 10 or 20 new players showed up. Word got around like crazy, and I know a few veteran players started to dig around in their file explorer to find their launcher for Dark Ages. There was no way they were gonna miss this. One of the veteran players who returned was Ambient. Ambient played the game back in DOC 30. DOCs, by the way, are how the game tracks what year it is, DOC 30 being close to 2004. Names started to appear online that haven't been seen for decades. I think this was the coolest thing for me. The new players are awesome, but seeing the older players return because Dark Ages suddenly got exposure was even cooler. By June 1st, 2 days after the video was released, 100,000 people saw the video, and the Discord and Dark Ages was popping off. It almost felt like some sort of new game release. New players spammed questions about how to travel, where to buy gear, how to quest, and make groups. As far as I was concerned at the time, I did it. I helped revive the game a little bit, but this is still not even close to what we were going to see. Maybe I've dealt with the wrong people, but I haven't seen this type of kindness from anyone on the internet in a very long time. And the way the old players responded to all of this makes it even sweeter that the game and the video were doing well. Dark Ages is honestly such a difficult game to explain that you almost needed a dedicated veteran player to help you run through the important details. And so many of those experienced players spent hours and hours with anyone who asked questions. As much as it was exciting to witness this historic event, a problem arose. There are simply too many new players logging in. By day 3, the video tripled in views to over 300,000, and new players were showing up by the minute. Dark Ages, being the 25-year-old MMO, had problems with launching the game, bugs, and a super complicated early game. The veteran players scrambled to find solutions for the new players, and they quickly updated the Discord, streamlining troubleshooting and frequently asked questions. The community worked countless hours over the course of just a few days to completely revamp the new player experience. No one asked them, no one paid them. It was done by passion and love for the game and the community. Those same players would also sit in the early starting zones, literally walking people through the game to help get them on the right track. And they did this all with a smile on their face because the fact that their childhood game was relevant again felt like Christmas. At this point, everyone was freaking out, myself included. 300,000 views on their dead but awesome game and hundreds of new players showing up overnight was overwhelming. But we're still not even close to being done. Another day passed and the video was nearing 1 million views. 1 million people saw Dark Ages, I don't think that many people have seen the game in total over 25 years. If you didn't see the first video, or it's been a while, I'll remind you that Dark Ages is pretty much a player-run game. This resurgence of players is exactly what this game needed to be at its most fun. The hype was unreal, and at this point, it felt like almost every person who ever played Dark Ages had seen the video and commented on it. Himbo said, "I actually worked on this game. I made a handful of the music tracks. I only recently found out people were still playing it. I'll let the game director know and he'll be thrilled." This video became a sort of reunion for these people, and I know I'm not alone in feeling a sort of peace and happiness while reading these comments. Even though I had never played Dark Ages before, I strangely feel connected to the people and the emotions. I spent way more hours than I care to admit reading through every single comment with the biggest grin on my face. Hot damn, I played this back in the day. A few commenters have mentioned there's a theater in-game. Fun fact, I was part of the group that got the devs to build it, and I wrote and directed the first in-game play, Aisling McDanger and the Necklace of Light. I still have this script. What a time. Thanks for the nostalgia hit. Hell, even the owners of the game left a comment thanking me for documenting my time on Dark Ages. 11,000 people commented on the video, and I think I've read every single one of them. But one of my favorite comments came from Simon Brusso, who said, "This is what MMOs were meant to be. Man, I wish they were still like that. To all the players who appeared in the video, thank you sincerely for keeping the original spirit of MMOs alive." This is what Dark Ages is. I don't know why the servers were kept running after all these years, but it feels like this was the reason for it. One of the systems that I never got to see when I played for 30 days was the college. There were so few people playing that there was no mention of this place at all. Now that the game has tons of new and returning players back on it, the classroom barely has enough room to hold everyone. The college, which is also player run, allows a single player to stand in the middle and pick a topic of discussion for the day. During this lesson, there's even a way to temporarily mute all the students, ensuring that the teacher can go over his notes uninterrupted. This is just one of the many systems that have benefited from all of the new players who are logging into the game. There is really so much that has happened within the first few weeks of the video being released. It was chaotic and refreshing, energetic and tiring. The game was revived. It's a strange feeling to essentially change the course of a dying video game and be responsible for that. I don't really know how to feel. I'm just really happy to have made an impact, and I underestimated just how big of an effect it would make. I didn't realize the amount of people who would be touched by the story or be so interested in the experience I had. I want to remind everyone who's watching this that Dark Ages has a free-to-play option. If you're still on the fence about trying it out, give it a go, join the Discord, and see if Dark Ages is something you could enjoy. But if you're trying to not pick up yet another MMO and you're here just to see how this all plays out, well, we're still just getting started. My favorite part of helping Dark Ages return to popularity were the people, specifically those who had quit a long time ago and decided to hop back on. Whenever I would log in, my in-game mailbox would glow with letters sent from players who saw the video. The kindness and gratitude I received was humbling, and some letters nearly brought tears to my eyes. Hello, Bindo. I want to thank you for making your video. I watched it and shared it with my best friend. We used to play together 15 years ago, and we decided to start playing again, and while doing that, we ended up running into another friend that we lost contact with over the years. The three of us used to play together every day during middle school and high school. We are now playing together again, and the three of us are now in our 30s. This other friend lives in another country now, and there was absolutely no way to reconnect if it wasn't for your video. So I wanted to thank you for bringing a friendship back together. I'm getting married in 2 months, and I'm happy I have a new, old name on my invite list. The video continued to charge forward with over 1.5 million views by the 7th day. With so much buzz around Dark Ages, I think it set off some kind of alarm, and the owners of Dark Ages, Crew, had to start answering the call. They were absent for a long time, but finally returned. You'd think that this was a good thing, but instead it caused a bit of turmoil for certain players. According to the veterans, Crew practically disappeared, leaving the game to float and survive on its own. I think it's no surprise to anyone that Crew would have been lazy with their attention to Dark Ages. I mean, the game's been dead for years, and only a few people bother logging in each day. There's no real reason to make meaningful content or work hard to provide the best experience for such a few people. Just keep the game running, maybe have an occasional event, and the people would be satisfied just enough. Regardless of what the past was, there was no ignoring what was going on now, and Crew began to make some changes. Their first focus was on the early game to help new players have a little easier time getting started. I think a few low-grade items were adjusted in their stats so players could get them more easily. They also manually restocked shops which sold items which were required for low-level quests. And they were logged into the game, walking around holding small pop-up events and answering questions for the noobs. This one video was able to bring everyone together. New players, old players, even the owners of the game are now focused on Dark Ages. It's kind of beautiful, but not all players returned with the same interpretation. There are reasons why so many people have abandoned this game. Those reasons span across multiple decades, with betrayals, mistrust, and bitter feelings resurfacing. Crew is only encouraged by the influx, and I would not be surprised to see Rocket Man raise the price to $15 a month. Haha. Ironic. We send tickets and it's not even replied for a year. Crew has neglected players for years and now they jumped out and say they care. I'm just worried if they don't change their ways of doing things, shit's gonna hit the fans again. History has proved not once, but twice. On the one hand, I can understand why Crew hasn't cared. On the other hand, I can see how frustrating it is for the players who have been around all this time with no help from Crew. Maybe it would have been easier for everyone involved to have simply shut down the game, let it die, and move on. Obviously, that didn't happen, but I think now is a crucial time for Crew. They can capitalize on this new player influx and really make some positive changes for both new and returning players. If done well, there's a chance this game could really start to gather an even larger player base. They have something special here. On the 9th day after release, and now over 1.75 million views, Dark Ages was truly popping off. The video you're looking at now is the beginning of a player-run in-game scavenger hunt. It starts out slow, people slowly trickling in, but after 1 minute, the players really started showing up, and after 10 minutes, the area was so packed, players were completely off the screen. Literally hundreds of players all came together for this one random event. More players who were even logged in for an entire day just over a week ago. I didn't get to attend this one, but I remember seeing the video post and my jaw dropped at the sight. This place was just a wasteland. And now look at it. The hype was showing no signs of slowing down, and soon a person showed up who no one had seen for over 21 years. This person is very special. In fact, the game would not be here without him. Meet Ethan Kennerly. Ethan left a comment on my video expressing his gratitude for it while also dropping the fact that he was one of the original coders for Dark Ages. This man is responsible for almost all of the social systems in the game. The political system, religion, the economy, this guy created it. Without his creativity and braveness to try something new back in the 90s, this game would not be the game it is today. And even better than that, he agreed to hop into a voice call with me and talk about Dark Ages and his early days of getting this thing started.
I had this opportunity to localize what was called Legend of Darkness, and is still called in Korea Legend of Darkness. My job title is game director. I was really interested in this vision of an H.P. Lovecraftian Celtic medieval Europe. So I scripted 8 churches, 2 governments, a college, as you notice, a player-run economy, and a fair number of other social systems and quests and yeah, those kind of things.
I just think that's amazing. Just straight up.
I had no anticipation or expectation that people would be playing it 25 years after its release. It boggles my brain, to be honest with you.
Ethan and I continued our conversation for a while, and I'm just so impressed by him and how he was able to make these systems that are still a part of the game today. And although I spent 30 days on this game, I feel like there is still so much I need to learn. The people who started playing because of my video have now surpassed me and explored much more than I had. These new players are diving way deeper than I ever have, and it seems like a good portion of them have stuck around. But I would like to change this discussion to a more controversial topic for a while, and only because I feel it's necessary to talk about. Leveling and progressing your character is one of the core aspects of Dark Ages. You saw snippets from the first video about what this looks like, and from my understanding, progression never ends. Yes, Yes, you can get max level and the best gear, but your HP and magic points can be increased basically forever. It's the gameplay loop that incentivized players to stick around all these years. But the Dark Ages endgame is not that simple. The most controversial topic in Dark Ages for the past 10 or more years has been the use of bots. These bots are not the typical bots you think of in video games. Instead, botting in Dark Ages is using programs that help with button and cooldown management. As crew added updates over the years, the enemies became harder and harder to beat. They were so difficult that only certain classes could handle them. I was told at some point, wizards and priests were the only classes capable of fighting the monsters. Rogues and monks were kind of kicked to the curb. I know this sounds bad, and it is bad. Players were left out or not invited to groups because of the class they chose and or their skill was not good enough. Even for the wizards and priests, botting started to become the norm. Botting was the only way to overcome the challenges of the enemies, and if you didn't have a bot, you weren't invited to any groups. Players would choose to have to bot just to keep up or quit. Both outcomes occurred, and although eventual class balance changes were made by crew, the botting issue remained. Fast forward 10 years and botting is still around in Dark Ages today, almost as a necessity. It's technically not required to do endgame content, but you'll be severely hindered if you choose not to. I'm explaining all this to you because I think it's only fair to let everyone know that the game is not perfect, and if you choose to try it out, know that botting is a tricky situation and you'll likely encounter it if you go down the grindy endgame content path. As for the solution to all of this, I have no idea. Crew probably needs to do something about how endgame content functions altogether, because currently as it stands, botting will probably continue to divide the player base and scare away new players. I had a long conversation about all of this with Ishikawa, one of the Master Rangers of Dark Ages. Master Rangers are in charge of Rangers, and Master Rangers report directly to crew. Ishikawa, like other Rangers, has the power to ban people who break terms of service, and I had a chance to talk to him directly about this. The conversation with him was long, but there was one thing he said that stuck out to me.
Yeah, I think crew thought, well, we'll make the hunting zones too complicated for the bots. Well, the bots got smarter and now they're too complicated for the people. We're kind of waiting for crew to make a decision here. Would the game be better without bots? Yes, absolutely, in every way. But I feel like we're kind of, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. You can only just try to clean it up best you can.
There's clearly an issue here with botting, and I don't know still the solution to anything, but it sounds like crew, the owners of the game, need to probably make some decisions and give a little more direction of where the game needs to go. So yes, Dark Ages is a beautiful game with lots of great things, but be ready for a bit of a learning curve if you decide to join in the fun. But regardless of the issues that are currently going on, I feel like the game has a bright future as long as things go right from here until then. But moving on from the whole botting situation, some time has passed and now a new generation of players are online, currently deciphering 25 years of information. But what has happened since those first few weeks? What do things look like today, a couple of months later? The video reached over 3 million people and continues to be seen by thousands a day. Things have settled down a bit, but the game is still averaging 400 to 500 players at any given time and peaked at nearly 800 at once. New players are still trying it out, and I'm sure others have decided to quit or not pay the $10 to unlock the full game. Either way, it's so cool to see people enjoying their time and giving it a chance. Dark Ages is officially reborn again. With that, I feel my job is done. I have successfully revived an entire MMO with a single YouTube video. I don't want an award or any recognition. I just want to close the book for now and be happy that it happened. But the players disagree. They aren't done with me yet. To celebrate these new and exciting times, Soleil, one of the event coordinators for Dark Ages, has worked very hard at planning a huge in-game party. This party is for me, and this party is for everyone. We'll join hands on the Loris soccer field to commemorate these unprecedented times in Dark Ages. The party is planned to happen in just a few days from now, and I can't wait to see what kind of turnout there is. There's still 1 hour to go until the event starts, and a line is already forming outside of the event location. No way! There are guys wearing suits at the doorway. Oh my, that is awesome. I walked over to the stage with my new crown and cloak, which was gifted to me by Soleil and her team, which costed real money, and I waited for the event to start. This thing is going to be crazy. An hour passed, and one by one, the players of Dark Ages were permitted onto the Loris soccer field. The first 50 players were given a gift at the door, and slowly the party started to get busy. 1 minute passed, and I thought we were nearing capacity, but in just a short amount of time after that, it was clear this thing was going to be big. By the time everyone arrived, my entire screen was populated with players. This has a chance of being one of the biggest events Dark Ages has ever seen, at least in the last decade. We began the party with a few words from Soleil, the event coordinator. After she spoke, I also had a few words. I won't leave my entire speech here, but I basically wanted the players and community of Dark Ages to know how awesome and special they were. With the speeches out of the way, the night of fun began. The first event of the night was the casino games. There were 3 different gambling sections, all with their own lines, which the players quickly raced to queue into. The best game, though, was in the middle of the field where 3 people from the event team stood with balloons. The game would function like a slot machine. The 3 balloon holders would quickly swap between the balloons and their inventory, and when the participant said stop, the 3 balloon holders would stop clicking. If you got 3 of the same color balloons, you'd win the grand prize, which would be a registration code, basically 30 days of in-game membership. The prizes for the event tonight were all purchased by Soleil or donated by her event team or random players. While the games were going on, I walked around talking to whoever wanted to talk. I saw familiar faces from my initial 30 days on the game, and I also met a ton of new people too. This event genuinely felt like a real-life party. I don't think one person was AFK, and everyone was talking to each other, enjoying their time. After an hour of gifts being given out by the casino games, the rap battle had begun. 2 players would stand on stage and battle it out, while the crowd sat and watched. The crowd would cast their vote on who won each battle. All were welcome to try, and the rounds would continue until 2 remained. I tried my best to make it to the finals, but I was eventually taken out in the semis. While the best rapper was being crowned, the other side of the field had another game going on. I didn't get to spend too much time at this game, but it was a trivia type game with questions revolving around the community. Questions like which player had 2 girlfriends back in the day. This entire event was done by the players. The coordinating, the decorating, planning, advertising, financials, literally everything was done by Soleil and her team. Time flew by, and about 2.5 hours into the night, it was finally my event. Bindo Says. Bindo Says was a massive game of Simon Says. I don't think we expected this many people to show up to this event, and holding this game with this many people was difficult. We did make it happen though, and eventually we crowned the winner. And last but not least, we had a swag off where the best dressed players would earn a registration code. And once that was over, the event finally came to a close. My time on Dark Ages, at least this part of the story, is over. And I'm having a hard time finding the words to describe just how awesome this whole experience has been. I think the feeling I have right now is that of wholeness. Like a big, warm hug. Dark Ages has shown me that it's not about what you're doing, it's about who you're doing it with. In a place so vast and diversified as the internet, Dark Ages has somehow kept the spirit of the early internet alive, where people connected, truly connected, and experienced something together. I may have missed out on this beautiful game all those years ago, but I'm glad I got to witness it now. I want to specifically shout out Miss Greenery. You were the first person I met when I showed up for those 30 days. You said hello, you welcomed me to your game, and you even created a new character just to level with me. And even with a strong likelihood that I would play for one day and then disappear forever, you chose to help. You unapologetically were human. You were kind and ultimately a friend upon arrival. Never stop being who you are, because that is what makes Dark Ages extraordinary. And so I wish to give one final thanks to everyone I met on Dark Ages. You are special, you are kind, and your community will forever shine.